Attorney Mark Mayo, sir, once again, thank you so much. Vice Candidate Duterte as Vice President, what do you think about that?
Well, sa totoo lang, ining issue or ining matter, it's still being highly debated. Kaya may contending ng mga theories eh. Especially that we have to admit the gray area gini siya sa aton constitution. But to answer the question, personally, from a purely legal point of view, I would say yes, he is eligible to run for Vice President. Because kung lantawon naton ang aton nga 1987 Constitution, very clear naging emphasize nga the President is not eligible for re-election.
For re-election?
Yes.
To the same position?
Actually, it was not stated.
Oh.
It was not stated.
Interesting.
Hindi lang gid siya eligible for re-election. However, on the other hand, ining Vice President naman niya, kung lang tawon nato na sa Article 7, nabutang na daya ang Vice President is actually or can actually run for re-election in the same position. Meaning, in my interpretation, very, very humble interpretation, what the framers intended was that to emphasize nga ang President hindi ka run for re-election, unlike the Vice President. Because the Vice President can run up to 2 consecutive terms. No? And also, why man da nabutang for any position or for amo na be kung ano nga posisyon, nabutang lang gid nga hindi ka run ang President, hindi ka run for re-election. Now, from sa practical naman bing applications ang word, no? In law, we have this concept nga verba lehis. Meaning we have to interpret the words of any law sa iya nga ordinary and plain, simple nga meaning. So, magambal kita re-election. Let's say sa practical applications ang word, if a candidate runs for a particular position, for example, he is an incumbent councilor, he is running again for the same position, he would say nga re-elect. No? The application of the word re-elect really points to the same position that you are occupying or during your incumbency. So, in the same way, nga sa aton Constitution, nahambal da nga you are not eligible for re-election, I believe in my humble interpretation, nag-refer gid inaya sa current position mo, which is President. Vis-a-vis, the construction of the rule applying to the Vice President, in which gingbutang gid nga ang Vice President can run for 2 consecutive terms. Meaning, kung lang tawon pag-interpret mo as a whole, gingbutangan ng President nga hindi eligible for re-election, ang Vice President can run for 2 consecutive terms.
That is very interesting because now we are looking at, anong panawag nyo na gani sa law? Inang pag-structure sa tinaga, statutory construction.
Statutory construction.
So, if you look at the statutory construction, ang verba legis nga ginasiling nimo is the words as it means plainly. Alright. Now, but if we go back, ang pamangkot karon amo ni, kung may magpasaka kaso, and the construction alone is very interesting. The President cannot run for re-election. It does not say if pwede siya makapadalagan for other lower positions. Because sa loyalty sa India, ang pinakataas na posisyon is that of the President.
Yes, correct.
Pero kung maglagan siya kapitan, kagawad, o tanod, of course, tanod, wala ginapadlagan.
Yes, correct.
So, hindi pwede, why man ginasiling na hindi siya pwede karon kay Vice President. Alright. Ang pamakot ko karon, Sir Amuni, kung mag-amuni, kung butang tabi dalon sa hukmanan, ano ang mangibabaw dire? Ang verbal legis nga ginasiling nimo, or should we go back to the spirit and intent of the law as discussed sa pag-frame sa 1987 Freedom Constitution?
I was about to say that also, sir. No? Kung mayara kita verbal legis, we also have this another way of interpreting our laws in which nag-follow naman kita sa, kumbaga, ginasunod nato ng spirit and intent of the law. Meaning the logic behind, the real intent of the framers. So, with that question, nga anong matabo kung may magpasaka kaso, for example, hypothetically, nag-run gid si President Duterte for Vice President. definitely ang opposition or those who would like to challenge that particular move, ma-file na sila case. Now, para sa akon, what will prevail actually is the deliberation or the intent of the law during the deliberations of Article 7 sa ato 1987 Constitution. So, mabalik na da sila, lantawon nila na kung during the deliberation, what was the discussion.
Anong context? Tabi, halimbawa, nga hindi pwede magpa-re-elect ng presidente because of our experience with Marcos.
Well, probably some amo nang ma-come out sa deliberation because syempre the Constitution was deliberated after the martial law during the presidency of or before the presidency of President Cory Aquino during that time. But of course, that remains to be discovered if we can retrieve the deliberation. Kay dra ginadaya makita, sir, in every provision sa aton Constitution, gindibatihan na before na-finalize. Now, every word was strictly ging busisi nga ma-finalize ang inang provision. So, I would say nga kung ang intent sang law later on, it will be found out nga ginamin gito nila hindi gid dapat kapadlagan ang presidente, ang incumbent president sa any position because dapat hindi ya magamit or ma-take advantage ang iya current position para magdaog sa lower position. So amo ginang ma-prevail, but that is for the Supreme Court to resolve. No, ang ato na diya, it's merely discussion, having our interpretations, but at the end of the day, it is the job of the Supreme Court to interpret the law and how to apply the law.